All right, welcome back to Movies from 1974. I want to talk today about a movie that I actually kind of liked. This is Dirty Mary Crazy Larry. Now, what you need to know about this movie is that in the 1970s, there was this big moment of chase movies, these movies that involved cars, that involved sort of car culture, and all of it was related to the counterculture of the late 60s. Now, what's interesting for me, though, is the fact that these movies sort of move from countercultural into sort of like mainstream glossy Hollywood, and that's going on throughout the entirety of the 70s. I think you can kind of argue Dirty Mary Crazy Larry is sort of the last times this type of movie was really fully cool, hip, like not within the mainstream. And even then, I would argue that that's because of the fact that even then, it still has a gloss. It has Susan George, who is a big actress coming off of Straw Dogs. It has Peter Fonda, who's one of the most famous people in the world. Yes, both of them are young and cool, but both of them are also like Hollywood actors. Even more so than Peter Fonda was when he kind of created this genre, when he started with Easy Rider in like the late 60s. So I do think the movie is interesting. I do think it suffers from that a little bit. You see a little bit of the tension between this movie trying to go for like, ooh, edgy, gritty, cool, and between like trying to be Hollywoody and trying to have like a Hollywood sheen and a Hollywood gloss to it. In some ways, it's cool to see like how these two things contrast each other, these two forces pulling each other apart. So it's sort of things like they'll have like a vicious murder scene, but then they won't have the guts to like actually kill somebody. And the ending of this movie overall really gets into that. All you really need to know is that this is a movie itself about like cool robbers. It's about like two people who commit a bank heist, and Susan George is like this crazy lady who comes to them and sort of like refuses to leave the scene. And the whole movie is basically about like these two people trying to have a relationship, these three people trying to escape the police. It is all a chase movie from the cops. And this being like a 70s cool hip movie, it does not have a particularly positive view of the police and the jobs that they do. I don't know, I didn't dislike this movie. In a lot of ways, I actually did quite find it very, very good. But I do think it has some flaws. I think Susan George is not a naturally great actress. I think I can say that. I think that's just not who she is. And while the plot is interesting and like worth watching, it doesn't do anything like that surprising. This is a movie that I think is worth it if you're really into cool car chases, if you're really into like a 70s cool culture, but I can see how it just doesn't become a classic. The dialogue's a little basic, the script's a little basic, and overall, it just kind of lacks like, I don't know, it lacks something.